And away we go. All right, I am joined today by Mark Christopher Lawrence, comedian, actor. Mark, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Just, weathering the storm like everybody else.
Yeah, holding up all right in quarantine?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now you're in Southern California, right?
Yeah.
So we're in the same team of governors doing their thing together. Because I'm up here in Washington. Did you guys have an announcement today?
I haven't listened to any news today. I try to do it like every other day so I don't get depressed.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Our governor came out today and basically said nothing. He just basically said May 4th is not going to be likely.
Yeah, I'm it's like a long time ago I heard May 15th, and then I saw I forget the lady's name, but up in LA, but she sounds like she reminds me of Phil Spector. She has like this white sort of crazy hair. Oh. And she said that she didn't foresee, getting back to concerts and stuff like that until like autumn of 2022.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't imagine. Have you what part of California? You're in Southern California, right? San Diego? Did I catch that? Yeah. So I'm originally from San Diego.
Oh, are you?
I was born in La Jolla.
Oh, okay.
So
I killed a guy in La Jolla.
You killed a guy in La Jolla?
On stage. I was on stage. He died during my act.
I remember that. I remember that in your Dry Bar special. Dry Bar special is called Clean Out of Compton.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Luckily they revived him. He made it back.
But that's a hell of a thing to be able to say, that you killed somebody with your jokes. Like, how many comedians have you seen get off the stage and go, "Oh, I killed tonight"? And you're like, "No, you didn't. I'll show you what killing is."
Well, once I posted it, there were several that posted that they had, and Shonda Pierce said she croaked 3.
Oh, wow.
She said she's not counting 1 because it was on a cruise ship and it could have been the food.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I have buddies that have done cruise ships before, and I'm not sure I could ever do one 3 months at a time where you're not really getting off the boat much.
Yeah, that's a long time. I've never heard anybody do that long. Usually a week, 2 weeks at the most. 3 months is a long time. I did it once and hated it.
Now that I think about it, I think that guy was actually a jazz player for the band, and he said he'd get a week off after every 3 weeks or something.
Yeah,
you're right. The comedy ones are normally a couple weeks.
It's like being stuck in a hotel.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I struggle personally repeating my same act time and time again.
Yeah.
And I know I've been told by veterans from day one that repeat it, learn it, perfect it. If something's not working, take it out. Leave.
Yeah. How do you make it? How do you make what you wrote work?
Yeah. Well, now I'll keep the for sure's in, but I'm always trying to change something. Like, to me, it just gets so repetitive that I get bored with myself a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of stuff, so I bring stuff in and out based on where I'm playing. I mean, because some things I know is not going to work, in certain places. So, like if I'm in Missouri, I'm not doing jokes about Missouri.
Yeah.
Per se.
Now, how long have you? Well, see, actually, one of my jokes, that's one thing I do is I like to read signs. So we have a town in this state called Yakima. And
I know Yakima. Been there.
It is a farm country, a lot of apple orchards and all that stuff. But when you drive in, there's a sign that says the Palm Springs of Washington.
Yeah.
And I used to make a joke going, yeah, that's not the Palm Springs of Washington, Anyways, but so like when I go into cities now, I try to look at the signs and see what they say about this city and see if I can turn it around on them.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people like to make fun of even where they're from, as long as you're not,
right.
Any type of comedy, as long as you're not belligerent about it. But Tacoma is another one that still posts a sign that says All American City 1994.
Now, Tacoma is the first place I ever got paid to do comedy.
Where at?
It was at a theater. A lady in Los Angeles was doing a show called Dare You to Laugh, like a cable access show. And every week I do different 5 minutes. And she took a bunch of us and said, she's from Tacoma. She's going to do a show in her hometown at this theater. It's right down the street from what is that? What is that comedy club up there?
Tacoma Comedy Club?
Yes, right down the street from Tacoma. literally on the same side of the street on the next corner, that theater.
Yep, I know exactly where it's
I'm
at.
gonna call it Regal or
I kept wanting to say it,
Fox, maybe. But anyway, she came to me one day and said, "Yeah, we're gonna go up there and we're gonna do a show." And she gives me a list of people she's gonna take. And then as we're headed up there, she goes, "Oh, by the way, Speedy couldn't make it, so I'm gonna need you to do 30 minutes." And I didn't even know I had 30 minutes. and that was my first paid gig.
So my first paid gig was also in Tacoma, but it was a place called Live Shots, and they put on bi-monthly shows, and it was in a warehouse, and they rented out this room, and you received, I think it was 20% of the door if they came in and said they were there for you. And then I think they broke it down to 5% for people who just showed up to just come watch comedy.
Right.
And I went up and I did 15 minutes, and they paid me, I think it was $48. And at that point I went, I should probably take this more seriously. So this was my idea to take it more seriously. I went to a bar the next night and said, "Hey, do you guys want to book a comedy show?" I had no clue what I was doing, no nothing. And they said, "Yeah,
right.
we'll do $300 for 2 hours." I didn't even know comics. I showed up and I did an hour and 45 minutes and just rambled.
Wow.
I did not get invited back.
Wow. Did they pay you?
They did pay me. They did pay me. But yeah, it was. I had one guy with me who I'd been doing some open mics, and he kept going, "Oh, I want to try comedy. I want to try comedy." I'm like, "Well, tonight's your night because they want me to do 2 hours. I've got 15 minutes of written material, so let's do it." So he finished off the last 15. I did like an hour 45, and they handed me my money, and I went, "Okay, now it's time to really take it serious."
It didn't get loud?
No. So to be honest, I probably packed the place 75% with my people.
Okay.
And then the others were older people sitting at the bar. All of a sudden, you'd do a gross poop joke, and you'd hear moans or something, you know. you
yeah, starting out, that's all you know. You don't have much life experience, so
well, exactly.
What are the things you know about eating and pooping?
Well, luckily for me, I was older when did you start?
I was in the 11th grade.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you were much, much younger than I was. I didn't start until I was about 27, and I went to like 1 or 2 open mics a year for the first couple years. It was more like karaoke to me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I got the bug, and I was going to 3 mics a week.
Wow.
So that's kind of, I was a little bit older. I did have some life experience, but I had college and bachelor life, so it was still pee and poop jokes.
Yeah, I didn't get serious about it until college. Once college was over, I was already working professionally as an actor, and all of a sudden I didn't have a job. So I just finished doing my first job out of college with the San Francisco Mime Troupe, and came home and had no job, and went back up to San Francisco and got into the San Francisco Comedy Festival, and made it to semifinals without really having an act. And I was like, okay, I think I can make this work. And then went back home and started doing those 5-minute sets on Dare You to Laugh. And when she told me that she needed me to do 30 minutes, I did my act, and I did actually 38 minutes that night. So I was close to headliner time at that point. And then I started going out with different headliners that really took me to another level.
Yeah, that getting under somebody's wing like that really, and to be honest, I look at the person's wing I went under, and I'm like, wow, he's kind of a trash human being, but that guy really took me to some places that I don't think I would have ever been able to go to, that led me getting my first club gig and let me get some gigs out of state. And, I wasn't working the bar scene for $20 and a food drink ticket,
Yeah.
So, do you have a home club? Do you still hit mics to work new stuff out? Or have you been doing it long enough you just kill it?
Well, here in San Diego, I can pretty much work anywhere. So I just go wherever I need to get on. If I need to get on stage, I'll go to, my favorite club is probably Madhouse. And, there's a Comedy Store here, so I can go there. I can go to Comedy Palace. And then there's lots of one-nighters here. So I can get up any night of the week, except now. Because,
of course, none of us getting up now. Are you into the virtual comedy show?
I'm fighting against that, man, because it with no immediate feedback, it's painful.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that I want to do that. So I got an inbox message today. I guess Dustin is going to do one, and I'm going to watch him and see how that goes. And if he's not setting himself on fire after it's over, then I may do that one.
Yeah, I haven't watched any yet, but just being a comic myself, that's one of the reasons we get into it, is it's instant gratification. You either know if you're loved or hated right away. There's,
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one of the beauties of it. That was one of the tough things being in radio and then going into podcasting, was you have to wait, and people are a lot meaner when they review than they are in person.
Yeah.
Somebody writes a review of you or something.
I stopped reading the reviews of my dry bar. Because I mean, there's a lot of gush, and then there's 1%. We hate you.
Yeah, I thought your dry bar killed. Actually, so I didn't realize I was into quote unquote clean comedy, and then
most people don't.
a couple acquaintances of mine, other comics, Andrew Rivers, Corey Michaelis, some people ended up getting dry bar specials a while ago, and I was like, well, I know these guys, and I used to book a room before Corona hit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, let me check these guys out and see how they've improved. And all of a sudden I'm like, you don't have to swear.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, I've only done one clean show in my life, and I did a theater, and I opened up for Rodney Sherwood. I even remember his name. This was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most nervous I'd ever been. Because normally I'd have that, take the relax out little drink beforehand, and I'm like, oh, if I get loose, there's going to be a bad word coming out, and I can't have that. Like, so I didn't have a drink. I didn't have nothing to relax, and I was so nervous. I think I was 4 minutes under my time.
Well, I was lucky. I worked with a guy, Robin Harris, who was the host at the Regency West, which is Black Comedy Act Theater in LA. And I worked with him many times on like a Saturday afternoon. And he liked me because I was basically clean. And he told me, Mark, always write clean. He says, because, you can work anywhere.
Yeah.
When you write clean. He says a joke. He says, if you get out somewhere where you have to go dirty just because it's what it is. He says, you can go dirty if you have to. And I found that I don't even have to.
No.
Just funny is funny. But he says it's hard to clean up a joke that's dirty by premise. If a joke is dirty by premise, you can't clean it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did notice watching your dry bar special that my comedy stylings I would even compare to yours, because I'm the same. I like storytelling.
Yeah.
I like things that are 90% truth where I 10% embellish on it.
Yeah.
Because you know why? It's what I know. It's what I've lived. It's what, I like.
Well, it's easy to write that.
Yeah. I like talking about my wife and kids and, different things like that. I remember on the dry bar, you said you were a teacher for one day.
Yeah.
Is that the truth?
Well, I sort of formally, like I subbed one day.
Yeah.
But I still coach.
Okay. What do you coach?
Yeah. Acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. At a high school, I'm assuming?
No, usually private, or like right now I'm working with VIP Ignite.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't coach anything like that. I coach baseball.
Yeah.
But,
I'm actually coaching a kid for comedy. He one of the shows that I produce, he did comedy at the last one up in Moore Park, and he's I think he's a 9th or 10th grader, and was really funny.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Yeah.
So the local high school out here actually 2 years ago started a comedy lit class. And the teacher decided, if I'm going to teach this class, I should probably get into stand-up and just so I know what I'm talking about a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, he's fallen in love with it and has actually become really good at it. But he's had me out a couple times because the more comics you talk to, the more styles you learn, the more ways to write, things like that, the better off you are. So that's why he brought me out. He was like, you write differently than I do. Your comedy's different. If you can come out and talk to the kids. So I've done that a few times as well. And then I come out and help grade their open mic final at the end.
Oh, nice.
So that's been real. It's kind of cool. You see these kids now. The kid you're working with, I'm sure, is just into it because he's, that's what he's there for.
Yeah, well, he's in the theater program there at the theater. They do a lot of musical theater, but he wanted to do comedy. His mom brought him to one of the first shows that we did, and he liked it. And so Ken Razor, the artistic director, said to me, he says, Mark, is there a way that we can, put together some programming for, kids, comedy, maybe, you teach a workshop or whatever. I said, well, I said, there's a way to do it. I said, but I think what you probably should do is put feelers out and see if there's anybody interested in it. And he had two people. There's a young lady and this kid, Abai. And so I set them both down and I gave them a little packet of stuff to help them. And then I gave them a tool to put in their toolbox to help them write their first bit. And then I put them on their feet that day. So they go through their little story. I said, okay, so now you have a great story to tell. Now it's time to make it funny. So what we'll do over the next few weeks is give you some techniques to help you write. And that's what we did.
That's cool. That is so cool. Yeah, these classes, you get half the class that takes it because it's an elective that sounds easy.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, because I think only juniors and seniors can take it. So they're like, I got so much else on my plate anyways, I might as well take something easy. So they don't give two rips about it.
Right.
And then you got the other half that are like, I want to find my funny. And those kids, those are the fun ones to see.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know that I ever went to a period where I wanted to find I think I was funny as a kid, because I grew up during a period where we would talk about each other, mercilessly.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it kind of started. And then once I got some structure, it just got better.
That's definitely where it started with me. Junior high, we used to have a plus minus game, and you would just rip on one another.
Yeah.
5, 6 kids that did it, and I live out in the middle of nowhere, and so there's 500 total people in the town I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
So bus rides, you were on the bus for a long time, and so you would sit there and you rip on somebody, and they would look at you and go, "Yeah, that was good, +1," or they look at you and go, -1.
Yeah.
And,
that's interesting.
And we used to write it down in books and keep tally.
George Wallace still does that in his act.
Oh, really?
At the end of the show, he lets the audience tell one your mama joke, and then he tells one.
Oh boy!
And he just destroys. I think his funniest one was for me anyway. Was how about your mama? Your mama's so fat, she's the only person I know who wears a real horse on her polo shirt. That's a winner every time.
Oh, I've never seen Wallace.
When I was growing up, that would start a fight.
I've never seen Wallace live. Who was the comic watching as a young man where you were like, that's what I want to do? That's because you said you started 11th grade.
Yeah, well, in the 8th grade, I saw my first comics live. Paul Rodriguez and Willie Tyler and Lester came to my school.
Wow.
So Paul opened for Willie Tyler and Lester. So when I saw Paul, that sort of put the bug in the back of my head. I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do, or even, I didn't really know that that's what I wanted to do until I started doing it for serious. But that was my introduction to it.
Okay.
And then, but then, I grew up watching Richard Pryor and Bill Cosby and Red Fox and, names like that. And then I would watch the Tonight Show and Letterman. And so I think those things sort of influenced a little bit, but the storytellers are the ones that stuck with me.
Yeah. I have that defining moment. I remember my brother got a black box, if you remember what those were, to unscrambled all the channels you weren't allowed to get. And it was Andrew Dice Clay's HBO special.
Yeah.
And I think I was 10 years old or 11 years old. And again, it was the poo-poo pee-pee jokes, and they made me laugh, and I went, that's what I want. And
I saw Dice at the Comedy Store. The very first night I went there and did open mic. And my friend Lennon, he would take me every week. We'd go up there, and one night he's in the main room, and people are walking out in droves, like 20 at a time. And but he didn't have the leather jacket then. He was wearing a Saturday Night Fever white suit.
Oh, geez.
And then a couple of years later, he switched to the leather jacket, and his acts just exploded. It's like all of a sudden he had all of these, because he was doing basically the same act, just different look.
But he was dressing like a bad boy with the bad boy jokes, and it went together.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden he had all these feminist groups going after him, which just blew him up because he was getting like free TV every day.
Yeah. Oh, so that would have been like around the same time like Saget was getting run out of clubs, and because I remember stories of hearing that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Sam Kinison, basically the same thing. And I remember saying to my friend Lennon, man, that dude Sam Kinison is going to be huge. Yeah. And sure enough, like about a year later, Sam Kinison just exploded.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites to watch. Him and, of course, Dyson, Pryor, Carlin. I remember getting busted in my butt whooped by my old man. Speaking of the spankings at the end of your dry bar there.
Yeah.
I got my butt whooped because my dad caught me watching Delirious. And
my mom walked in on a really bad point in that Eddie Murphy set, and she was not happy.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So your Dry Bar comedy special is up. I want to let everybody know you can download the Dry Bar app. That's actually what I did on my phone. It's free.
Right. You get it for free.
The shows are free, but as everybody knows, you guys are out of work. Comics have no place.
Feel free to tip.
There's, and so there is a donation button. There's a tip button, however you want to phrase that. And make sure to check Mark's out, as well as, these comics need, if not, all you're going to get is a bunch of COVID-19 jokes when we all return.
Yeah. I have a bunch of clips from the Dry Bar that I tell people, feel free to watch those and send them to your friends. And, because whatever formula Dry Bar is using, we get paid on those too from people watching the clips.
Okay.
So definitely watch the clips. I have a clip. One of my clips, the clip about the guy dying, is that last time I checked, it was at 18.9 million views on Facebook. Wow. Yeah. Ooh. And that's just on Facebook. That's not counting YouTube and anywhere else it is. Yeah.
When I actually posted on my Facebook about this and about watching your Dry Bar, I had a buddy text me and go, man, there's a lot of clips to watch this. And he goes, he's a UPS driver, so he's working, so he's kind of listening while he's driving. And
yeah.
And I was like, there's a full one, so I didn't know you made money off the clips too, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, at this point, you said, I'm just trying not to have to go back to the old folks' home and be a stripper. Because, they tip in Jell-O pudding over there.
Jell-O pudding.
Listen, baby, take this pudding with you.
That's their bingo winnings, too. I know. I worked in an old folks' home a long time ago. Oh, man. Your other big thing known for is Chuck.
Yeah.
I personally want to thank you and the rest of the cast. Friday morning was probably the highlight of my quarantine, watching you guys do that table read.
That was fun. It was good to get everybody back together. The chemistry was still there.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah, I could see you trying to reach through the screen a few times to smack Jeff and Lester. Or Vic and Scott, if you will, But, no, it was, me and my wife sat here and watched it 9 o'clock that morning. Excuse me. I got to be honest. I was not a fan of Chuck when it first came out.
Yeah, you were the one.
And I'm probably one of the biggest fans in the world of it now. It was one of those things. So I remember it was on Monday nights, and it was Chuck and then followed by Heroes.
Yeah.
And my wife would watch Chuck, and she'd yell at me all the time. And I'm like, no, this is my video game time. I don't even like that.
Well,
show.
and then the writer's strike happened.
Yep.
Right at the end of the first half of the season, and they didn't put us back on in the time slot. They put Heroes on, played their whole season, and then put us back on. And we lost a lot of followers at that point. We probably lost over 1 million, like 1.2 million in followers. And we were actually, outside of Monday Night Football and Dancing with the Stars, we were basically winning the time slot.
Oh yeah.
Until that happened, and then people started watching Big Bang Theory.
I used to yell at my wife all the time, like, "Why didn't you get me watching this sooner?" I tried.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things. It was, my oldest child at the time, she would go lay down for bed around 8 o'clock. And I'm like, it's quiet time for me. I can go sit and play a video game. And she would watch TV and I'd come out for Heroes. And then I got into Chuck and I went,
Yeah.
why didn't you get me out here?
I had one episode first season where I was working on Chuck and Heroes at the same time.
I saw the one episode of Heroes you were in, yeah.
And so I would work on Chuck during the day and Heroes at night, and I would literally get about 2 hours sleep, if that, and go back. Did that a whole week. I was miserable.
Oh, I imagine.
Luckily, that next week we were off on Chuck, so gave me a break.
Now, the episode that you guys did the table read was Chuck versus the Beard.
Yes.
What is that's not the one I voted for on the Entertainment Weekly site where you could vote. What was your favorite episode?
Chuck versus the Marlin.
Ah.
The end of the first season where all the stuff in the store is stolen.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
So I have two. My first favorite is Chuck versus Tom Sawyer, which was the episode with the Atari game Missile Command.
Oh yeah.
And then the other one is the Christmas special with Michael Rooker, and where you guys get in the takeover. The car crashes in.
The car crashes in. Yeah, and I had a Santa suit.
And you,
I think that was in 3D.
Oh, was it?
And we did 3 episodes. We did 10 days. Took 10 days to shoot it. It was really tedious to work that way, but it came out really great.
Yeah, the plan to take Ned down was awesome. You tackling him, and then the biggest kicker for me was towards the end when you guys are getting freed, and your cousin comes out, and it's Al Powell.
Reggie Val Johnson.
Yep, and I just went, that's it, I'm done. I
just worked with him last summer on a Christmas movie for the OWN network called One Fine Christmas.
Okay.
And by the end of the episode, he ends up being my boss.
Yeah, he's... Now, let's go to that then. Die Hard, is that a Christmas movie or not?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Oh.
Yeah, not my favorite, but it is a Christmas movie.
I'm watching my wife. We get in this debate all the time. She's on me over here.
Oh, she give you the no?
Yeah. I'm going to be sleeping on the couch tonight because I just got somebody else to back up my
Tell her Big Mike says it's a Christmas movie. There was a Christmas tree and Christmas carols in it.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. I love it. Oh,
my favorite Christmas movie, though, is Nightmare Before Christmas.
She's going to... I like it too. It's not my favorite, but we were talking...
What's your favorite? Hers?
I'm a Christmas Story guy.
A Christmas Story?
Yep.
I like Christmas Story too. But Nightmare Before Christmas, if you really follow it, he really wants to do something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got in an argument about Tim Burton movies the other night, and I started listing off Tim Burton movies like the original Batman and Batman Returns, Big Top Pee-wee. She goes, no, it's cartoon ones like Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't like that one. We were talking about because Frankenweenie's on Disney Plus, and I have a 5-year-old, so we were looking for movies to watch.
Yeah.
And, Frankenweenie, and I'm like, I forgot that's Tim Burton. She goes, I don't like Tim Burton cartoons. So, I love it because more people I have on my side.
Blink twice if you're afraid for your life.
Not yet. My youngest boy's holding her back. No, we're good. What are we sipping on there? Looks like a cab.
It's a very nice cab from. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Sorry.
That's all right. A nice cab worked for me because, to be honest, I don't drink wine. So I read something about Chuck. In research, if you will, I just read, and I did not realize that your character, Big Mike, is the only person who didn't know Chuck had the intersect. Is that true?
No, that's not true. Most people in the Buy More didn't know.
So this was Wiki fandom page or whatever.
Yeah.
They had bios for all the characters, and they said you were the only one that didn't know that Jeff and Lester had told Big Mike that Chuck was a spy, and you brushed him off and didn't believe it.
Yeah, didn't believe it. but it made them doubt as well, so they didn't know for sure.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This wine is from Nicholas Karavidas. He is out of Lodi. Does a very small production, but it's excellent.
I wish I could get into wine. Everybody I hang with is a wine drinker.
What's that called?
Yeah, I can't get into wine. I'm a craft beer guy, I guess you would say.
You gotta spend some time in Napa.
Yeah.
Or Sonoma. You go there and spend a weekend. Take your wife. You know, hang out in Yountville at the Villaggio Inn and Spa. You know, treat yourself. Get somebody to take the kids for the weekend. You go there, hang out. When you check in, they'll hand you a Bellini, and then you go and do like a wine tour somewhere. Get a couples massage at some point during the weekend. You know, and by the end of the weekend, you'll be a wine drinker.
We went to a place in Eastern Washington called Lake Chelan, and there's, I don't know, 20 different wineries. So we did a wine tasting tour.
Yeah.
And by the second one we got to, I walked to the bar and I said, "Do you guys have flights of beer I can just try? Because I can't do these flights of wine." I was done. So by the end of the trip, I was with 3 drunk people and me being sober, so that didn't work out either. But
yeah,
you know. Oh, all right. And then finally, let's see, you're on Cameo now.
Yeah.
How
doing Cameo.
How does that work?
So you basically post your profile. You set a price for what you're willing to do a shout out for, and people pay you to do a shout out.
Very cool.
Zach is doing it for his charity. You know, clearly today I'm my own charity. After losing all my work from mid-March to throughout June.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Now I'm just trying to, you know, stave off the wolves.
This is going to sound trivial in perspective, but one of the biggest things I miss about following you online and on your social media is people sleeping on planes.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, I haven't seen one of those pictures in over a month. I'm dying.
I got to give the shout out to Dustin Nickerson though, because Dustin started that, and then I did it, and I tagged him on it, and then I was hooked. It's like I can't get on a plane without doing it.
Oh, it's funny. Like I wouldn't think, like, if somebody just told me, "Oh, take pictures of people sleeping on a plane," I'm like, that's dumb. That's weird.
Yeah, you're like, what?
And then you see the photos, and you're like, especially you just see like half your face, one eye, and,
right, and the look.
Yeah, and then the different positions people can sleep in, and it just amazes.
Did you see the one where I think I'm in the first seat you get on the plane, and then next to me across the aisle there's 2 sort of character heads asleep. Did you ever see that one?
Oh, I'm scrolling back through now because they, like I said, they cracked me up. Is it? Oh, yes. I'm looking at it right now. I do. I remember seeing that.
So those are 2 kids. When they got on the plane, I didn't even see them bring those heads on the plane. And then all of a sudden, I look over there, and they have those heads on. And they're like talking to each other, and their big old heads moving around. And then they went to sleep. And I was like, gotcha.
And that's what their carry-on was those heads? Obviously, you Spirit.
No. I rode Spirit one time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was like the bus in the sky. Nobody told me.
We just did it in February to go to Vegas.
Yeah. Well, Vegas is okay from to San Diego, but because it's quick. But I will never do it again.
Yeah.
It's I'm literally, it's like riding a bus in a third world country. They charge you for everything. Water, air,
yep.
Chickens and goats on there.
Oh, I'm looking at this picture again. I noticed your shirt too. Some Jimi Hendrix. Very good shirt. Very good.
I think I lost you.
Oh, here we go.
Up for a second.
I was saying that your shirt in this picture too, some Jimi Hendrix. That's fantastic. Oh boy, did we lose him again? You back? There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Uh, anyways, I was saying your shirt in this picture, the Jimi Hendrix shirt.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's a great shirt.
You know, living up here.
There he is, right there. See him?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, living up here. I've been to his. Actually, I live probably 15 minutes away from his gravesite,
Oh really?
and we've gone there a few times. My mom grew up in Renton, about a block away from Jimmy. And she said that when she was a kid, they'd get off the school bus, and Jimmy and his dad would be sitting on the corner, and Jimmy's dad would be playing drums on a bucket, and Jimmy'd be jamming on guitar at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when they'd get off.
Wow.
And then Jimmy's dad worked at the Guitar Center in Seattle up until his death.
Really?
You could go in and see him anytime. He'd sit and tell you Jimmy's stories like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
So, that's fantastic. I love it. No, that's one of my favorite things on Instagram is you and the sleeping people on a plane.
Yeah, it's fun to do.
I can't believe how much I miss it.
Yeah.
To be I probably miss it more than missing people's comedy.
Hilarious.
I love it. All right, Mark. Hey, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
I want to tell everybody to go to Dry Bar. You can go download the app, go to drybar.com, check out Clean Out of Compton, Mark Christopher Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantastic special. It's
Follow me on Insta.
Yep, follow him on Instagram, Mark Christopher Lawrence on that one as well. And then also his Cameo. Go to cameo.com and you can check out Mark Christopher Lawrence there. He'll hook you up with a shout out for a few pennies. Help performers out, people. Help performers out.
There you go.
And to help me sleep tonight, I'm getting a wave to you from my wife. So I'm telling you that she's waving and saying hello. And
Tell her I said hello.
I will. He says hello as well. I could sleep in the bed tonight. I think I'm going to be safe. Mark, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for coming on. And, man, good luck through all this craziness.
Thanks a lot, man. If people, are looking for me on the internet, they can go to my website, markchristopherlawrence.com, and all my